our own confidence and the country's confidence that we are on the right path. As a makomanis namhlanje sidweba umgqubuvu ukuthi akekho ozoweqa lo muntu. We are also acutely aware, comrades, ukuthi there are elements who are plundering our state resources. One day is yokhuluma, not today, comrades. Because we know who is chasing Pravin. It's not that it's a rocket science. We know, and we have got even more details as the SACP about why Pravin is being chased. Now it's Gwede. We know who is doing that and what the reasons are. Because we don't want to ban this country, we will handle that information differently. Because as communists, we fought for South Africa and we want in South Africa, which is different. Keeping quiet must not be taken as if we have no information. What's by communists who information? Yeah, I'm a communist, I'm very clever. So clever, some. Yeah, see, I was what to Mabukwala. Bangathi abanye abafana mabekuplanela uhlale nje udlala abanye abafana umfana kwenze njani. Now, comrades, also with this Red October campaign, we are one of the comrade Monyel, we really want to make a special plea with COSATU. No one is better placed to stop the looting of the state than the trade unions, and in particular COSATU. We need to stand up and ask questions. What's happening at ESCOM? Why are we not asking questions as to what is really happening in our state-owned enterprises? If COSATU does not do that, we are all doomed. Because the trade union has power. And we want COSATU also to launch a Section 77 notice to fight, to launch a campaign against the corporate capture of the state. That is the task. And COSATU and its affiliates must in this instance lead us to say South Africa is not for sale. Our country is not for sale. Ayidayisi izwe lethu lelizwe lathola ngokuchitheka kwegazi kulomhlaba esimi kuwona umhlaba wegazi lachitheka eSharpeville lachitheka eBoipatong lachitheka nakuzo zonke indawo kule vali esikuyona namhlanje. So it's very important, comrades, and organized workers cannot afford to be seen, Comrade Monyela, as if they are hesitating. Uma sithi akulwe ne-state capture, kube ngazazathi anazi ukuthi kwenzakalani yini lesikhuluma ngayo. No. The biggest loser, if we allow our state to be stolen, will be the working class in this country. Now, we are also aware that there are attempts to try and drive a wedge between COSATU and SACP. We want to say to those who are doing that, try it, you will not succeed. Try it, you will not succeed. For a long time, communists, there were attempts to isolate communists. Kwahluleka Malan, kwahluleka Foster, kwahluleka PW, kwahluleka de Klerk. De Klerk was forced to abandon power to an ANC that was in alliance with the South African Communist Party, who were part of the victorious forces. They are not going to succeed in trying to do that. Comrades, our state-owned enterprises are very important. They must serve the democratic transformation and development imperatives. Our state-owned entities are not entities to be plundered by parasites, but are there to drive an economic agenda that is in the interest of the majority of the people of our country. The SACP also wishes to use this occasion to restate the following. Monopoly capital. By the way, whether black or white, that's why Tina, as Amakomanis, it doesn't matter whether monopoly capital, what's the color of monopoly capital. No matter what the color of monopoly capital is bad. And that's our strategic aim as a movement. And we must continue to fight it. When we wage the struggle for the transformation of the banks, that's the struggle against the heart of monopoly capital, which is finance capital, bank. And we must intensify the struggle. But we can't be told that when we also raise the problems about what we see as a parasitic bourgeoisie, like Gupta, why are we fighting the Guptas, but not in monopoly capital? The Guptas are not our answer to monopoly capital. The answer to monopoly capital is a stronger, more organized working class in this country. Now, sibizwa sibe abantu ababi. Obani ona lo mndeni wamaGupta one entitlement enkulu. You know, we have illustrious families in South Africa. The Mandela family, the Sisulu family, the Katradas, many illustrious families who have no culture of entitlement. Why is this family feeling that it has a culture of entitlement to do as it wishes in our country and land their aeroplane and waterproof? No, Makabane, surely it can't be. I am offended as a black South African with an aeroplane that lands at Waterkloof. We must not beat about the bush on this matter. We must not beat about the bush on this matter. I felt my sovereignty was violated that day. For what reason should we actually be allowing this to happen? We want to say thank you to the ANC, though. In its response to Thuli Madonsela's report on what she titled State of Capture, the ANC has said, let this Judicial Commission of Inquiry that is being proposed sit so that we can get to the bottom of the truth. We had called for that as the SACP in any case, that there must be a judicial commission so that we are all at one. But let's not allow this thing, comrades, to turn us against each other. Let's not allow this to turn us against each other. Comrade Jesse, I'm very pleased that you were emphasizing the issue of unity. Because as a movement now, we tend to be having a habit of disuniting ourselves instead of acting to unite ourselves. So it's going to be very important that we know that the answer to monopoly capital is not the Guptarization of the South African state. What should we be doing? We must seek to drive a second, more radical phase of our transition. We must change the nature of our economy. We say to the banks, stop using our monies to build malls in the townships. Ama malls asemalokishini create umsebenzi omncane kabi instead abulala zonke ipaza shop which are around there. And ngeke usithole isitolo sakaNzimande kwimall asikho. Comrade Jesse is right. We should not be ashamed about empowerment. But in the malls, there is no shop at Duarte. You will never find it. Yet these malls, we are saying these monies, which by the way are workers' monies in many instances, must be invested into building industries in South Africa that will create jobs. That is where we should be directing imali from our banks. That's the campaign that we need to be waging. Because there's a lot of money. Kosat, your other responsibility, I'm glad, Comrade Monyela, because we are a razor land. And we are glad we've been working together in Kosat. But we need to intensify. It's workers' pension monies that 25% of them are invested in the Johannesburg Stock Exchange. But workers have no say as to where those monies are being invested. We want those pension funds of workers to be invested responsibly, but part of that responsibility is to invest in building the manufacturing industry in our country, to support small and medium enterprises. Let me also congratulate the Gauteng province, SACP, Comrade Jacob. You know, in your previous deployment as Minister, as MEC for Human Settlements, you were an example in how you combined your government job with the SACP's campaign against evictions. That was really exemplary. And this province has been fighting an important battle against the eviction of our people from their houses by the banks, and to expose the corruption between some officials in magistrates' offices and some officials in the banks. You pay for your house for 15 years. You lose your job. We have already paid much more than the amount of the house. They take your house. They throw you out of your house. They sell it for 10 rand. You continue owing. Then they go and sell it for the current price somewhere else. We must put an end to this practice by the banks. And we have been exemplary in that respect. Comrades, I'm very glad Gauteng is taking up the core of our Red October, going back to our people and listening to them. As an alliance, we have a campaign, but which we do not implement properly, which is Know Your Neighborhood campaign. Door-to-door, comrades, must be permanent. We can't just do door-to-door just because we are going to elections. We must start door-to-door now, do it all the time. That is how we are going to reclaim Itswane ne Johannesburg from DA. Because if DA is going to fail to respond to the needs of our people, they don't have words either. EFF is correct. Guess wabantu be ANC ama comrades ethu, Comrade Jacob no Joe, kumasipala wase Johannesburg, would describe properly the relationship between DA and EFF. Lega Zulu ngakithi sithi umkepito bakepitile. Fat and set. Is real fat and set umkepito. EFF should be ashamed that it takes in Johannesburg kanye nePitoli bayinika abelungu. Babuyisela amalahle dandi kusho njalo KZN. Ngenxa yalo mkipito wabo, which is very unprincipled. We are not going to win back Makabane, these municipalities in 2021. 2021 must just be cementing everything. We're going to start winning them now by what we start doing now. And we are saying, let's revitalize our organizations and contact with our people. But also let's revitalize workplace organization. Let's revitalize workplace organization. Let's go and organize unorganized workers. Let's go and strengthen COSATU. We are worried that industrial unions of COSATU are getting weaker. And we can't leave that task to COSATU alone. As communists, we must work with COSATU, our ally, to make sure that we rebuild and strengthen the industrial unions as a federation. That should be part of our Red October campaign. Comrades, as Comrade Jacob said, he's right. We have reflected very deeply as the SACP as to why we lost the election as the ANC. If truth be told, the DA and the EFF, they didn't increase their vote much, 1-2%. The problem is our own voters who did not go to vote. Abantu bethu abangayanga ukuyovota. Kuzofanele ukuthi singabi defensive. We must criticize. Instead, we must go and listen to what our people are saying and be humble. Affectionalism, kufuna siyilwe. All our organizations allow problems. Although the eNCA is bigger in the ANC, we must face that. You know, comrades, it's correct for the party to debate whether in future to participate in the elections or not. There's nothing wrong with that. By the way, media talks about us walking alone. We'll never walk alone as the SACP. Don't be mistaken. You know, if the SACP were to decide that, we would not be taking a lone route. No, not at all. But what is the use of the Communist Party contest the election on its own and then thereafter behaves, irrespective of the votes that it may get, behaves exactly in the same way as some of the problems we are criticizing in the ANC? How viable are we? Because some of us, inside the ANC itself, we do these wrong things. So it's of no use if the Communist Party will be bought with money and with positions, even if it decides to contest elections on its own. So we must discuss these things as we are discussing what we call the state power debate. It's very important. But what is very clear, comrades, we're standing at what now, so 250,000 members. 255,000 members as the SACP. We have grown. But we must still grow more. You know, sometimes when things are difficult, you are sitting on your own stand. I must say, sometimes something that gives me comfort is that Moses Kutane left us with the Communist Party in this country. Imagine life without the SACP in South Africa, to us as communists and to this revolution. Okotane, they left us with this precious weapon called the South African Communist Party. And feel safe and say there is the South African Communist Party in South Africa. We dare not gamble with this. We are an asset to the ANC itself. We are an asset to COSATU. When we say let's build a larger party, it's not in competition with the ANC or with COSATU, but is to meaningfully be a complementary ally to those allies of ours. The Communist Party sifuna 1% of the population. Njengoba so 55 million, we want a membership party even 550,000 members. At the very least, within the next few years. So that when we say we must be everywhere as communists, we must be everywhere. But we must still strive to build a quality and activist communist party with political education. Let's use this Red October campaign, my comrades, to go and strengthen our branches, the SACP. We have good branches in many places, but not everywhere. And also what is important, you can't be proud of having a strong Communist Party branch in Sebokeng, but a weak ANC branch. It means that SACP branch is not strong if it can't strengthen the ANC in that locality. Comrades, we have started now, as from today, releasing some of our discussion documents for our Congress next year. We are inviting you then to go and study and discuss those documents. And we are debating everything. Issues which we do not debate. We must debate all and everything because the revolution requires that the SACP does that. With this Red October, we are also launching a season of political debate in the South African Communist Party. But let's not be satisfied about debating amongst ourselves. Let's take this debate to the Alliance, and let's take this debate to broader society. In fact, we are considering calling a broader gathering sometime next year before our Congress to go and table these documents with those structures. We'll invite the burial societies, the taxi associations, the stockfels, and all other sectoral formations that are of the working class to say we are going to Congress. These are the issues that we'll be debating. What do you say? Let's make this Red October an exciting one. So that when we, at our Congress on the 4th to the 8th of July next year, we have got a date already. We are able then to say what have our people said to us, those who stand to benefit most from the programs of the South African Communist Party. Comrades, on behalf of the Central Committee, I call upon all SACP cadres to go all out to recruit more members for the SACP. Community activism, political education. Kulaba bazisilungu, uLenin wathi, we must always combine theory and practice. But he went further to say practice without theory is blind, and theory without practice is sterile. Theory becomes a material force as soon as it is absorbed by the masses. That's what Lenin said. Comrades, look after this SACP. And the only way to look after the SACP is by being activists. At some stage, amanyama comrades that used to tell us we were the party of theory. We have never been the party of theory alone. who have been a party of both theory and practice. Logo sabakhona njengoba sina 95 years this year as the South African Communist Party. Treasure this weapon, Kakotan. Treasure this weapon, Kadorataman. Treasure this weapon, Kajoslovo. Treasure this weapon, Ray Alexander. Treasure this weapon, Kanumisa Kondlo. Treasure this weapon of Moses Mabhida. Treasure this weapon of all the heroes and the heroines who built the South African Communist Party, and also, as Comrade Jesse was saying, they were good ANC leaders in their own role. Gobuana gekola ayaspelela aspelela.
Aspelelanga,